Hello, everybody. It's October 10th, and it's the Hastings-on-Hudson Union Free School District Board of Education meeting to begin. And I think we will start with Tony.
Sure. Thank you so much. So just to give you a report, first I want to thank both Parker and Elliot for being here at our board meeting. Thank you very much. It's great to have you in the room. So a bunch of dates just to be mindful of moving forward, and then I'll take you through my report with spotlighting a few things that I'm excited to share. So we do have a SEPTA coffee this Friday at the middle school at 9 a.m., yes? Yes, at 9 a.m. Also, this weekend is homecoming, so that's pretty exciting. We have do you know what's going on for homecoming? Yeah? Tell us something. Tell us something exciting about homecoming.
And Spirit Week.
Yeah, so Spirit Week today we had Twin Tuesday.
No one told me about Spirit Week. That's messed up.
Tomorrow is Pajama Day.
Tell him what
I'm
he
all
has
over
to
that.
wear
Yeah,
for the rest of
seriously.
the week. Because he will wear it.
I would wear it.
Tomorrow is
Twins, I would
Pajama
not.
Day.
And he'll tweet it.
Thursday is Formal Thursday.
Oh, I could do that. Every day.
And then
Thursday.
Friday is Spirit Day, so it's
I
before the
have that
pep
too.
rally at Spirit Day. And then Friday, we have we're going to have like a Friday festivities kind of thing for all of the sports, the senior and homecoming games that are on Friday. So up at Burke, there's going to be food and clubs and fun stuff. And then Saturday is the normal football game and clubs and all the stands and grade stands there.
And there is a
At the game, they have all the clubs are there, and they have some booths.
And after the football game, there's volleyball. No, there's something.
There is a volleyball game right
here.
afterwards.
So it's going
At
to
the gym?
Yes, at our gym. So it's going to be a fiesta extravaganza.
And are both the soccer teams playing on
both the
Friday?
soccer teams and the field hockey team, I believe.
Yes.
Playing on Friday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all at the same,
All at home.
all around
Around
the same time.
like
All at home?
4:45.
Did
Yeah,
you come up with a
4:30.
fabulous
4:30
name for
starts.
this day?
Yeah.
You know, I haven't heard if there is a fabulous name.
Because I know Mr. Merchant was working on it, but maybe he didn't get enough.
It hasn't been released to me
I
if
wasn't
he
loving where he was
had.
at.
With a name for it?
Fabulous name for what?
Blowout.
Yeah, like,
For the
you know,
festivities.
Oh, yes, I heard
Freaky
something about
Friday,
blowout.
Yeah.
you know.
Freaky We're avoiding
Obviously
the
not what he's going to use.
It's going to be Fun Friday.
That's why we need help.
Fiesta Friday. Yeah, there was something about a blowout at Burke, but that sounded a little...
Maybe the police didn't like that. But I will say, I think this is the first year, right, when we're having
Yes.
so
Yes.
much happen on
Yeah.
it,
Everybody's
which is
very
great.
excited and
Jesse
grateful that
worked really closely
Mr.
with a bunch
Merchant,
of different people. Yeah, he was...
It is nice to have fields.
Yeah.
And the three of them so close to each other,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
great. Yeah, they were. Jesse was very excited to talk about that this weekend. So that's
On Saturday, aren't they also going to dedicate the court to John Costello?
Oh, great.
Coach Kaz.
Are they on
Yes.
indoors?
Indoors on
But during
Saturday.
what? I would think they would do that at one of the first basketball games.
It
I
was,
think they're going to, I think they're not certain about his health.
And who's gonna?
Well, there's a volleyball game there.
that's right. There's a volleyball game.
I understand, but
oh, I have a feeling people will come out of the woodwork for this one.
okay.
And they have
He was
to be
beloved.
one
Do you know?
night weekend,
Was that in
so-
the blast about Booster? Wait, how did you know that? Because I.
The first way I knew was because Katie came home with something.
Oh, there you go, yes.
It was like a piece of paper. I think it was related to volleyball. Because,
Yes, you're right. And the volleyball team is also having a fundraiser, I think, this Thursday night for
Yeah.
breast
Yeah.
cancer awareness.
6 p.m.
6 o'clock. There's some sort of
Yeah.
special, I don't know if it's a fundraiser or a special game or something, but that is happening this Thursday night. So it's a great weekend coming up for our homecoming. So we're definitely looking forward to that. Anything else that we should add?
No, very
So,
excited.
Pajamas tomorrow,
Pajamas tomorrow.
formal
Formal
Thursday,
Thursday.
and Spirit Day on Friday.
Green and gold.
I draw the line at Pajama Day, but I'm very excited about formal Thursday. All right.
You will see a lot of Hastings flannel
I
pants.
have those.
That's what
Yeah.
you will see on Pajama Day.
You don't want to see me wearing those. Thank you, Parker, and thank you, Elliot. So, just to spotlight a couple of other things that are listed here. We did have our National Art Honor Society induction ceremony, and you can see up there are kids who were featured there in their work. Unfortunately, you get a lot of kids, which is great. There are 32 students. Behind them is all their work. Well, it wasn't just that. They also had like media, different platforms that they were using. It was so impressive. I unfortunately had the wrong time, so I was in my office during the event. But at 7 p.m. when I got up there and it was over, I got to see everything. So
Because they weren't standing in front of it
they were not
anymore.
standing in front of anything. But the students do. You should note that they need to have a 90 or above average and 2 full years of art credit. So it's a really dedicated effort, and the fact that it's really portfolio based is, I think, just is very impressive because kids are really critically thinking about what they're including and what they're working on. Not to say that we don't do that in other areas, but it was great to see this as well.
And I will include that because my daughter was in it, and then
Oh,
they
was she?
do a project where they're drawing pictures of children from other countries.
Yes,
This
and
way
they're
to connect.
sending them the
Yeah.
pictures. Yeah, they had a video of that.
It's pretty cool.
I think it was some Eastern European country that was featured that they partnered with to do illustrations that they sent to the kids. It was very cool. There's a video of it. If I can figure out somebody to get it to you, I will. Our SAD Club, which is Students Against Destructive Decisions, they helped school victims of Hurricane Harvey in Texas. So they partnered up with a school, Cypress Creek High School, and a group of them got together to package the stuff and send it over to them in Texas. It was great. Christine Rep, sorry. She facilitates this, and she called us down, which was great. Janine was able to get down there, so we were able to see the kids go through that process of helping the victims there. We did a survey for our district hashtag, and that was it was hashtag HOH schools, and so we'll figure out ways that we may want to use it at some point or not, but it was great. We had almost 200 people vote, so that was pretty cool, and I think about 40% of people voted for HOH schools.
Did you get any good creative entries?
I did get a couple of good creative. You know, it's interesting because I have to be very explicit when I tell people that our hashtag is HOH schools, not, you don't want to sound out those first 3 letters, potentially, because they could be mis-sounded out. So that's actually led to a couple of discussions informally. People are like, so what is that? And I'm like, no, it's HOH school. So, but it is something for us to do. I know, you got it now.
There was a discussion at the PTSA about whether
that.
to get those stickers for the back of your car that would say HOH, and then we'd be like, oh, it'd be the Hastings. That's why that's never happened.
I've gotten a few little funny comments, but but it does reflect our. It's pretty straightforward. It's great, and so I mean, really, one of the things that
That's been the website for years, but when you're in the district, you don't think about it.
You don't.
Yeah.
People outside.
You don't. I can honestly say that my 12-year-old said it. Anyway, I was like, no, what are you talking about? Anyway, but
I don't think about it now, but I remember when I first moved here, I was like, what?
Yeah. So, and you know what the problem is with Hastings? So when you do a hashtag, like the choices that were in the survey were after extensive research, and a lot of certain things are used. Like yellow jackets are hard to use in a hashtag because there's a yellow there's the Georgia Tech, and so they use their hashtag. And then there's someone that's like, We Are Hastings was another one that I was looking at. There's some family whose last name is Hastings, not from here, who, you think I'm crazy on Twitter, this person had 9,000 images of their family, and their family hashtag is We Are Hastings. So I was like, well, we don't want our pictures with it. So it was quite a process to even come up with some of the choices. But it was great to see a couple of hundred people respond. So that is my update. And again, thank you, Parker, for adding to the conversation.
Okay, next is public comment, but seeing as we have no public, we therefore have no public comment. Next, moving on to our business.
Sure. Well, we have
Did I miss
the curriculum instruction. I know it's squeezed in there.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
I do want to. Curriculum and instruction, just a quick update to let you know, as you saw in your weekly update last week, we have narrowed down our potential PD for around inclusivity, diversity, potentially racial and social justice, depending on who we go with. At this point, it seems to really be down to two possible candidates. I did share the information with our leadership team. I also shared it with a group of teachers who had met with us on September 1st when we started this discussion around what PD would look like. And so right now we're down to looking at Border Crossers, which is an organization that we have used. They have given us a proposal, which you know about, and so they, for a one-day professional development experience, which would cost us somewhere around $25,000 to $30,000, would be a 6-hour professional development around race and racism as it relates to education. They're very much targeted to working with schools, which is great. So that's on the table.
Is that a normal amount, $25,000 for a day?
Well, so here's the thing with border crossers is they facilitate these sessions, and you don't want the groups to be too large, so you really are paying for
A lot of different
for groups of facilitators. Each pair of facilitators is about $5,500, and so when you're looking at a group of about 270, which is what our staff is. And that number that I'm giving you is actually with groups being kind of on the biggish side. Well, big, I mean, relatively big. It would cost about that much, and otherwise.
But it's 2 facilitators per group at I'd call it $5,500.
Yeah, it's $5,500
for 6 hours.
For 6 hours.
$5,500.
$5,500 per partnership.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for 500.
For 2
Yeah,
people.
$5,500 a pair
Yeah.
at 6 hours.
Yes, and so originally they were looking to keep the groups at around 30 or something. So we talked about possibly modifying, which they did. And so again, the focal point though there would be race and racism, particularly specifically. Then the other person that we're looking at is Dr. Derek Gay, who does actually have people who work with him who do professional development who work for his organization, but he would be the person to come and do the professional development. He has quoted us a price of about $16,000, if I recall correctly, from his bid. His work is broader. It's around diversity. It touches on notions, ideas such as race and different systems and contracts. I'm just looking at, I'm just pulling out my phone so I could see he had sent me some frames to think about. It's structured in a way because Derek does a survey before to get a sense of where the community is, know the environment, and then develop frames that allow groups to work on topics such as race. And so his work is more framework oriented to put the structures in place. He does touch on various isms, for the lack of a better word, in his work. There's a TED Talk that actually a group of teachers watched today to kind of get a sense of what they thought of him. And so that's what we're down to. We're down to those 2 possibilities, and the difference in cost is 16 versus 30, but you have one facilitator in Derek, and he would do small group stuff, but he's facilitating them all, whereas with Border Crossers, you have a bunch of facilitators. So really the main difference is how specific the focal point is of the PD. So one is race and racism specifically for that whole day, and one is, I guess, diversity more broadly for 6 hours. And if you watch Derek's TED Talk, he really... I'm doing a little bit of a disservice by saying that he does diversity, because he actually tries to debunk the notions around diversity. So it's not like, it's hard to explain, but he talks about how we're all diverse, and just even little things like when you say you went to a wedding, how we've normalized certain language. We'll say, I went to a gay wedding versus I went to a wedding, right? Or, this guy almost hit me, this Asian guy almost, that we add those things, and he does work that's broader around those biases that are normed in our world. Derek is doing work nearby at Master's School, or Master, is it Master? Master's. And I'm actually, thanks to Lisa, who connected me to the headmaster there, Laura, and I are going to connect this week, so I'm looking forward to that, because she has worked with Derek before, just to kind of vet to see what that was like. I mean, I've heard positive things. He also recently worked in the Wyckoff School District in Bergen County, which is a similar district in some ways, not every way. And I reached out to the superintendent there to get his take on what their experience was like. Border crossers, I haven't found another district nearby that has used them, but I do know other colleagues who have had worked with them, so I've reached out to them as well. So my hope would be to finalize a plan in the next 3 days so we can get it out there. As I shared with you, the implications of this would be a change in our calendar, which would mean a day of school. That would have been a day of school for our kids would be now a professional development day. It still counts in the state mandates for days of school, but it would be focused on our teachers and PD around this topic. So,
And when would you do it?
it depends on which one we go with. We're looking at possibly November 13th or December 4th right now.
But in this side of the holidays?
Yes, before we go on
Winter
break.
Okay.
So that's that. I don't know if anyone has any feedback, anything you want to throw out there, any thoughts
Just when the decisions can be made.
My hope is to have it made by Friday so that we can put it out there and
Is there a reason to do it before the break rather than after?
In terms of taking the day to do it. When
Yeah, in terms of taking a day.
I think so that we can do some of this work at the front end, so then we can figure out how we can do follow-up work either on late start Fridays
Got it.
and faculty meetings more meaningfully. And I also should say that I think we're all collectively, and I say we, I mean internally, the leadership team, the teachers who I've spoken to about this, see this as a long-term thing, right? So we're starting with one day, but our hope would be to continue working with whoever, and I don't know that we necessarily have to go with just one person who does all the work for us. We may want to do a combination of different things. And so for me, really the struggle right now is just finding that right entry point. Like not that either of them is right or wrong, but finding sort of an entry point for this first experience that would kind of get us all hooked and then go from there. So.
Oh, I was just, being the calendar nerd that I tend to be on the board. Thanks,
And
Jody.
policy. No, yeah.
And my information is somewhat out of date since my children are significantly older now, but I know that November is always a very difficult month for families because you have usually parent-teacher conferences,
Yes.
you have Veterans Day, you have Thanksgiving, you have that half day before Thanksgiving. They're just like an awful lot of either half or full days off, and it's a lot of parents having to find babysitting for days that, are not normal school days. So, and again, you folks with younger kids may tell me if you don't feel that way anymore, but I just, if you had a choice between another day in November and doing December, because I also think that for the teachers, it's probably a little choppy to have so many days off in the month of November.
We discussed that today, and in fact, December is going to be the target sort of place to land. I threw out November 13th because that was one of the dates one of the organizations threw out and said, hey, we have November 13th. How does that? Okay. And so although after meeting today with the leadership team and talking to some of the teachers, it seemed that this December 4th day, as an example, was nice. It was a Monday. It was, people could make it a long weekend, whatever. So that's that. Anything else that you want to talk about around the PD?
I just had a question about, so the second PD, Derek.
Derek Gay?
Yeah, so how would he structure his PD? You said the original group would be like, 2 facilitators, 30 teachers.
Yeah.
Like, what would his format be?
So he does sort of like a keynote to kind of start the day for everyone. And,
Right.
And I don't remember exactly the amount of time he spends at that portion of his presentation, but I'm going to guess it's somewhere between 90 minutes and 2 hours just to kind of frame it. And he personalizes the keynote, from what I understand, based on whatever he gets from the survey that he would send out to the staff before he got here. And then there are common groups that break out during the day working on different things that he then pops in and facilitates. So it's not that we're all sitting like the auditorium, let's say, in our seats listening for 6 hours. There is breakout work that happens throughout the day.
So what do the people do when they're not meeting with him?
You are working on things. He's not sitting with a group the whole time. He's facilitating each
So the
group.
groups are given tasks.
They're working on, right, they're working
Or
on,
something.
there's a common framework. I don't remember the exact language that
But there's not necessarily a facilitator in there with them.
No, there would not necessarily be. Yeah. So that's a thing to consider as well. Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you to you for looking into all of these and for appreciating the nuances among them and doing the research and for joining and prioritizing this work.
Thank you. Well, I thank you for giving me the space to do that, because as I think I mentioned in another space, this is not work that a lot of districts are doing, really, in our community and even beyond. And so to vet this by other people is not easy. Quite honestly, there's not many people want to go down, well, not want to, are not going down this road right now. So the fact that we were able to get any information about either of those organizations, which is great, and I think they both provide us a very different opportunity, and it's just a matter of kind of, like I said, finding the right one to start with. Right, wrong, not right, but finding the best fit to start with, which doesn't necessarily rule out working with the other one at a later date in a different capacity. But financially, there are significant implications. I mean, as you saw in the Bank Street one, which we're not even touching, because this work is so complex, it's not just a one-day event. It can be a one-day event, but then what's the sustainability of it? And I think that's the other thing that we were talking about today as a leadership team is, so we do this thing, right? It's December 4th. We spend the day talking about whatever, whether it's race and racism, whether it's about the broader aspect of diversity. And then we have to be really mindful of how we follow up, because something like that is emotionally charged. And emotionally depleting on some
It's
levels.
exhausting
It
work.
is exhausting. I mean, we were only for an hour and a half, and it was like at a session that Lisa and I both happened to, which was wonderful, which was border crossers. So it's great. We got to kind of experience people that would be doing our work here. But you leave there and you're drained. Like you're really, so. It's also then how do you build on that, right? And that's also the work that we need to be mindful of as a district. So if you have any thoughts about that between now and Friday, feel free to shoot me an email. Or if you've heard anything about either organization that you feel would be relevant, please let me know. I don't think that we lose. I don't think there's oh gosh, this is the one to go with. This is not the one to go with. Again, the difference just being one is very focused on a specific topic, one is broader, and that's it.
Right.
Okay, so two other things, if I may bring them up right now, even though they're not calendar implications around this, but not necessarily connected to this specifically, but we do have half-days on the calendar that are somewhat problematic. So the recommendation that we're looking at is, and we've discussed as a leadership team as well, and vetted informally by some teachers, and I've kind of thrown it out here a little bit, is we currently have 2 half-days on the calendar that are problematic for us in terms of not being able to count towards school days. It was the half-day before Thanksgiving, and it's the half-day before Christmas break, or whatever, the holiday break.
Why don't they count?
Because we don't have enough instructional minutes in the day, and we're not keeping our teachers here. They're half-days, so you either have to couple them with a professional development experience, or there has to be a parent-teacher conference associated, something where the staff is staying here after the kids leave. As they are on the calendar, it's 11:45 dismissal, and everyone's gone.
How many minutes do you need?
In a week like the Thanksgiving one,
Yeah.
you go by the week, you don't go by the day. But you need a total of 5 hours a day at the elementary level and 5.5 hours a day at the secondary level.
Could you
need
extend
15 hours.
the half-day, the length of the half-day till like 1 o'clock instead of 11:45?
You could extend the half-day, that's one option, yes, it is. The other thing that we were looking at was potentially making one a full, like getting us back a day, like taking the December 22nd day and actually making it a full day of school, not a half day.
Why was that one going to be a half day?
I don't know, it's on the calendar, I have no idea.
It was something new, like I said, Tony, there was no reason we had it be a full day in the past. And
Both of those days are wasted days anyway.
Well,
don't
so
you think?
what I was thinking, what we
I don't
talked.
know, what do you think?
But the Thanksgiving
Yeah,
one, I
there's
thought
not,
Tony, did you have
there's
more to
not
share
a
on
whole
this?
lot of teaching going on.
Well, let me-
It's more busy work.
Let me share what I don't disagree, and it's reality. But what we were thinking is, so instead of losing 2 days, so you can't count those towards your 180 days mandated.
Right.
We have 186, so technically you take those 2 off, right? We have 184. But the second we hit a 5th snow day, if that were the case, we then have a problem. We then have to add a day somewhere, which would go into like the April break and what have you. So in my mind, yeah, and I feel the same way, Parker. In my mind, why not be proactive and take one of those days back and make them a full day of instruction? We have enough time to put it out there. I don't think any parents are going to say, oh gosh, don't make my kid go to school. And if they're planning on taking them out for a vacation, that's fine. No one's going to change that. And then look at the other day and then just give the kids the day. Like instead of doing 2, we're going to lose the day anyway. And so instead of
Give
losing
one
it
of
to
the
a half
days
day,
as a day.
like think about the day before Thanksgiving as not a school day, closing down the school because we're going to lose the day anyway, and making December 22nd a full day of school, which gives us back a day that we would have lost in the current structure. Or we leave it as a half day, but we lose that day. Know that is.
Tony, I thought part of the reason that the day before Thanksgiving was a half day was because of that early dismissal
But we're not
drill.
doing it the way.
And you're not allowed to
You're
do
not
it. It
allowed
doesn't
to
help
do it.
count towards this.
This was, we used to
This
do.
180 mandate is the issue that I'm dealing with, not
There's a way
the
to
emergency.
do a cold stop of school. That was like one of the drills that they used to.
But the way you're really supposed to do it, though.
That's why that day
I
was.
went
Because it says it sometimes like that, and it's like weird.
Yes, and it's like everybody has to leave the building.
Yeah, everyone
But it
has to
doesn't
leave.
work that way.
We don't even do it correctly.
Right.
Like from I went to a meeting, it's like every other district's like, oh yeah, so all of you're not allowed to use busing that day at all.
Yeah.
A real emergency drill or emergency. They come into the office and sign their children out with ID. I mean,
Oh, that'd be a hit.
it's really like.
That'll be a hit.
Like if you have.
One I don't want to make.
If we were like letting the kids
On the day
go.
before Thanksgiving.
And the staff
Rather
isn't
be in the
even
grocery
supposed to be.
store.
So it's
Yeah.
like, we were like letting the staff work on.
Right, the
that
issue
drill.
really is that we're done by 11:45, and everyone's done at 11:45. A parent-teacher conference day, for example, we're okay, because even though the kids are gone at 11:45, our teachers are here, and so it counts, and which is great. The state gives you that flexibility, but on the day before Thanksgiving and the day before Christmas right now, or the day before, like, Christmas Eve or whatever it is our two lost days, and
We
so...
don't get state aid if we don't.
And we don't, yeah.
Right. We never, I mean, we've never done the half-day before Christmas before.
We hadn't, it was just something that was on the calendar.
So putting
Sounds
that-
like a plan.
So putting it back on sounds
past
fine.
me.
Would you like to say that?
Both of those days?
How would you like, what would be the suggestion for handling the half day before Thanksgiving? Because the other thought that we had, that was, again, I'm just sharing with you what we discussed informally at our team meetings, is send out like a survey almost to kind of say, what's your preference? You want school closed, or you want to leave the half day open? Either way, we lose the
Can I
day.
give you a little history on
Yeah,
that?
please.
So I guess it was last year, the year before, I think Roy had asked the PTSA to sound out people, and they put out a survey, and it came back like 40%
Right.
wanted school to continue. I can't remember, it was a particular day, and 60% didn't, and it was a tough, I was not on the board.
Landslide.
It didn't help, I think, as much as everybody hoped it would
A
help.
survey, you mean?
Yeah, because
Because
we
there was still a
definitely,
pretty big chunk that wanted to be.
yeah, it wasn't,
Yeah,
it
you're
wasn't
still
a
gonna upset
mandate.
people.
It
and-
wasn't like 70%.
But this is what discussion came out of that is that, obviously the more notice you can give to families, the
Yes.
better. And while it's not a service we would provide, if we could maybe just to help facilitate reaching out to some of the local facilities that do after school care, that maybe they want to make some money by offering
A full day.
a full day of
Yeah.
care.
And I think it's good that's something Zach really back to because the middle school, they do have the grandparents day.
Okay.
What? That's a fire alarm?
Have to leave?
It's a fire alarm. You have to leave?
Well, you have project share the night before and then see
We have to go outside and,
I don't want to mess anything up.
you gotta come back in, just wait, we have to go outside.